Alright, 12 days out. This is my second to last squat session. My heaviest until I'll be competing on November the 4th in RPS Autumn Apocalypse in Newark, New Jersey. For those of you that don't know me, and none of you do know me because I've never put out a video before, my name is Michael DeMeo. I am 20 years old, from Brooklyn, New York, currently living in Sayreville, New Jersey, training at Depot Training Systems. That's all I'm really going to get into about myself, where I train, and all that right now. And before I get into the actual topic of this video, which is going to be things that you can do to increase your squat, and what worked for me and what I feel will work for almost anybody that's never done this before, or even if you have done this before and you needed a reminder, this is going to work for you no matter what. And it's just so simple and clear cut. I'm so surprised that not many people do it frequently, you know, and I'm more surprised that nobody really talks about it. Before I get into that, I wanted to talk about what's going on in this video in front of you right now. This is my second to last squat day, like I said, or my third if you want to count my day that I hit squat, bench, deadlift. Anyway, my second to last squat day where I hit 425 for 2 sets of 2, or no, I'm sorry, 425 for 1 set of 2, 435 for a set of 2, 450 for a single, 470 for a single, which was 94% of my projected max. A set of 2 paused with 410, where I actually forgot to pause the first rep, so I ended up making that up with 425 for a pause single, and then a pause double following that. What you're seeing right now on the screen is 425 for that set of 2 that I was talking about. It moved pretty nicely. It was pretty heavy considering, like, you know, it's a pretty low percentage. At least for the day, it was a pretty low percentage, but my following sets moved a lot better, or at least I felt like they did, and I'm definitely not upset with it being that this was my first time handling any real heavy weight in about 2 weeks. Anyway, to get into this topic of this video, things that you could do to increase your squat. You know, what worked for me, what will definitely work for you, especially if you've never done this before, right? One of them is change of bar positioning. That's probably one of the biggest things that people talk about, and in theory people love to say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start it, I'm going to spend 4 weeks, 8 weeks doing this, and I'm going to get jacked, and my squat's going to go up 50 pounds in 2 months. And unfortunately, one, that doesn't happen. Two, they just don't do it. They get discouraged by the fact that they have to use lighter weights, they have to focus more on technique. It feels like trash, but you know, it's something that you got to deal with, especially if you want to be the best that you can, and especially if you want to increase your squat in a relatively fast manner. Now, I'm definitely not saying you're going to put on 50 pounds to your squat in 2 months, but I'm definitely saying you're going to see some big changes, whether that be pounds on the bar or technical changes. You're going to see a big difference. Especially in my case, I saw a huge difference because my quads were definitely a limiting factor in my low bar squat, and I always said, okay, so I'm going to keep doing my low bar, and I'm going to end up just throwing in, you know, narrow stance leg press and really light front squats for sets of 10 at the end of my workouts, and that works to an extent, but I found that switching out my low bar squat for high bar and taking the energy that I would put towards my low bar squat and applying it to my high bar squat, I saw so much progress in not such a short amount of time, but a really relatively short amount of time, right? I started doing this in, I want to say, June, and from June until early August, I was doing this. I want to say 75 to 80% of all my squat work was done high bar or with a front squat position, or high bar with a specialty bar. And my squat went from being 455 with sketchy depth back in December or January to being a really clean 485 once October roll around. That's enough in that topic. The next thing that I want to get into, higher rep ranges, training in higher reps and higher sets. You know, a lot of people on Instagram, for example, I see this all the time, or even Facebook probably, people always talk about anything over 3 reps is cardio. And while it's funny to say, if you're only training at 5 reps, 4 reps, 3 reps, you're only going to make so much progress over a given amount of time. It's not going to continue forever. You're not going to be able to put 5 pounds onto your max every week, or even every month, or even every 3 months. It's going to get really difficult, especially since you're limiting yourself for no real reason to just 5s and 6s. Tap into those rep ranges where you're hitting sets of 8, hitting sets of 10, hitting sets of 12, even 15 to 20 if you have to. This goes hand in hand with what I was talking about with the higher bar position. Sure, you could train those high bar reps in sets of 5, sets of 6, and that'll work, but I've found that it worked really, really well training in the 6 to 12 rep range, even 15 reps on some days, and it really jump-started my leg growth. I put on probably 5 pounds in a month, and my body fat percentage stood pretty similar, maybe went up 1% or down 1%, but my body weight shot up and my legs blew up. I had serious imbalances in my left and right quads, and the higher rep training definitely helped me out big time. That's not just for your accessory work either. Like, your main work should be sets of 8, sets of 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 15 even on some days, you know, just changing things up and cycling through different rep ranges. And the third thing I want to talk about is keeping the technique nice. And again, that goes hand in hand with what I just said and what I said before that about the higher bar position, or changing your bar position to the front, or using specialty bars and variations. Keeping your technique as close to perfect as humanly possible is massive, right? Obviously, when you do a max, your technique is not going to be perfect. You're going to have some kind of screw-ups, you're going to have some kind of breakdown, and that's fine. But during your training, if your 6th rep is butt ugly, you know, your knees are caving in, your back is flat, your chest is low, and you're doing a set of 12, that means half of your set is going to be terrible, and you don't want that. So what I kind of like to do is not worry so much about the weight, especially going into the high rep stuff. Don't worry so much about the weight on the bar. Worry more about getting quality reps in and increasing the weight slowly over the course of maybe 8 to 12 weeks. And if you do all that, there's no reason your max won't shoot up. There's no reason your technique won't get better. Your body will feel a lot better because you're not beating yourself up all the time. It's just, I can't stress this enough. Just please give it a shot. But anyway, I'm all out of footage to talk over, and I'm not going to ramble on much more. So, to give you a recap, 3 things that I think you should do to increase your squat: change your bar position, throw in a variation as your main work, and take the energy you would put towards your main work towards, you know, that variation. Tap into the higher rep ranges, 6 reps, 8 reps, 10 reps for between 3 and like 6 sets on some days. Giving the heavyweights a break for an extended period of time, and really focusing on your technique and working on getting quality reps in, and not worrying so much about putting on 5 pounds every week. But if you feel like your squats were prettier on this day than it was 2 weeks ago, then that's progress. It doesn't have to be so glamorous and pretty all the time as slapping on 10 pounds and saying, look, I hit a 10-pound PR, hitting 5 more reps. It could be as simple as saying, hey, that felt a lot better on my back today than it did 2 weeks ago. But that's all I'm going to really talk about today. Thank you for watching. Please keep an eye on the channel. I'm going to be putting out content regularly, and hope to see you in the future.